Welcome to this gentle practice, smooth like Merlot. For today's class, you may choose to have a bolster or pillows, rolled up blanket at home, but you don't require any props. So we're going to begin in a seated position, either seated up onto your prop or just right onto your mat space. Rooting down through the sits bones, let's lengthen up through the spine, close down through the eyes if that feels comfortable for you, or just choosing a nice soft gaze. And just taking a moment to connect with the breath. Begin by observing the breath. Noticing the inhale. Noticing the exhale. And then we'll begin to intentionally lengthen the breath. Starting with the exhale, let's release the breath. Fully, completely, maybe even finding a slight pause here. And then as we inhale, thinking about drawing that breath down as deep as you can into the body, maybe even placing a hand over the belly as a little bit of a tactile cue. Feeling that expansion as we fill the lungs and that diaphragm pushes down. You can feel that belly expand and exhale, releasing the breath fully, completely. Just continuing here with these long, slow breaths for a couple more rounds. So we invite ourselves to be present within our practice, just letting go of any external distractions, whether they be thoughts or things you were doing before you landed on your mat, or even distractions that are coming up during your practice. Using any distraction just as a reminder to come back to the breath. And know that we can redirect ourselves as many times as possible without any judgment. You may choose to set a specific intention for your practice today, planting a seed, or maybe your intention is just simply to pause, connect with the breath, connect with the body. On our next inhale, let's begin to sweep those fingertips up towards the ceiling, and exhale, connect the palms, draw that energy down through the center of the heart. Inhale, we'll reach and lengthen. Exhale, down through center. Inhale, reaching, lifting, lengthening. And exhale, down through center. One more here. On our next inhale, we'll reach and lengthen. This time we'll float those right fingertips down to mat space and begin to open up through the left side body. Finding length here. Inhale, reaching, lifting. Exhale, let's drop the left fingertips down to the mat. Feeling that expansion there in the right side body. Inhale, reaching, lifting. Let's begin to open ourselves up to the right side. Bringing that left arm across the body, really maintaining length of the spine here, and then just that gentle rotation. As always, remembering to honor our bodies where they're at today, letting go of any judgment, and letting go of comparison or expectation, just simply meeting yourself where you're at. Slowly unraveling, let's reach those fingertips. Exhale, opening the other way. Feeling that length in the spine and that gentle rotation. And slowly unraveling here, where we begin to pull ourselves into a hands and knees position, sliding that prop out of the way. There's always that reminder that if wrists are feeling a little tender, we can always flip onto fists, just keeping that wrist in a nice neutral position. Otherwise, we can bring the palms of the hand to the mat space, shoulders stacked right over elbows, right over wrists. and our hips stacked right over our knee. Optional to either keep the tops of the feet to the mat space or tuck the toes. Find a little stretch through the soles of the feet. Let's begin to find our cat-cow. So inhale, drop the belly, lengthen, lift. And exhale, tuck the tailbone, rounding through. Chin to chest, ears come towards the upper arms. Inhaling, let's lengthen through the front body. Exhaling, lengthen through the back body. And just continue flowing here a couple more times through. Connected with your breath and your body. Back through center. Let's walk those knees a little wider than hips. Bring the toes in towards one another and begin to sit those hips back to heels. Either coming to the forearms, melting right down to the mat, or feel free to reach for that prop for a little bit of support here. As we breathe, let's begin to feel that expansion in the back body, and the sides of the rib cage. If we're using a prop, let's shift it just slightly out of the way, reaching those arms out in front of us, and then begin to walk those fingertips over towards the left side of your mat. Begin to feel some opening through the right side body. The head can stay lifted or melt down to the mat, or even kind of resting to that right arm. And then walking back through center, let's bring those hands over towards the right side of the mat. Feel opening and length and expansion in that left side body. Good. Back through center. Let's draw ourselves forward through our hands and knees position. And then we're going to transition to our standing fold from here. So either stepping feet up from 4-point kneeling, or we can lift those hips up and back, finding our down dog, and begin to walk the feet towards the hands, or the hands back towards the feet. And then just allow the chin to fall to chest and crown of head to hang heavy here. Reminder, if this position causes any discomfort or lightheadedness, then we can just lift up to a nice flat back, keeping head above heart. Otherwise, let's find 3 breaths here. And find stillness or find nice gentle movement. Good. Our next inhale, let's slowly begin to round up, thinking about stacking one vertebrae at a time. And all the way up through standing, roll the shoulders down and back, lift the heart space, lift the chest, find your mountain shape. Just taking a moment to reconnect in with the breath. Begin to step open to the wide edge of the mat, toes turned out, heels turned in, and then we'll just find a really gentle tuck of that tailbone, thinking about flattening out through the spine, finding length all the way up through the crown of the head. We can relax the arms down beside us, choosing to leave them here, or we can engage through the arms, reaching, lifting, lengthening, and then as we exhale, beginning to drop into our goddess squat. Arms can stay by the side or elbows come towards rib cage. So inhale, lifting and reaching. Exhale, dropping in. Let's be mindful that the knees are tracking out over the toes, that we're not letting ourselves roll to the inside of the feet. So we're feeling the entire sole of the foot on the mat space. Chest stays nice and lifted. And let's flow here. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. Moving at the pace and rhythm of your breath. Let's move through 2 more. And this next time as we lower, let's bring the hands to the upper thighs, thumbs facing in, staying up nice and tall. We begin to drop the right shoulder in towards midline, taking gaze out over the left. Inhale back through center as we exhale. Drop that left shoulder. Inhale through center, exhale, 1 more each side. Inhale through center. Exhale, dropping left. Inhale through center. And then rising up. Reach those hands, relax the arms down by the side. They'll heel toe those feet in just a little bit. And then begin to just roll and rock through the hips. See if we can kind of soften through the belly, release any tension through these hips here, and just kind of shift and roll that energy. If we were looking at our bodies from above, it would almost look like we were tracing a little bit of a figure 8 with the hips. Just nice fluid movement. Don't worry too much about getting this perfect. Rather just focus on kind of the shifting of the body, the flowing, moving the energy. Good, and then let's step those feet back out a little bit wider once again. This time we're gonna turn the right toes facing off the mat, and we're gonna turn the left foot so it's parallel to the short edge. We're gonna begin to lunge into that right knee, turning ourselves to long edge of the mat. We're gonna find that warrior 2. So hands can stay resting to hips, heart space, or reaching long. If it's comfortable for the neck, we can take the gaze out over those right fingertips, like a warrior gazing off into the distance. And in choosing stillness here, we can begin to engage through that left arm, pulling it forward, and then drawing back almost as though we're pulling on a bow. We'll move through this a couple of times. And we can keep that lunge in the front leg, or we can begin to straighten through the right leg as we reach back, lunging in as we pull forward. Good, 1 more here. Good, releasing those arms, we'll sink back into that lunge, making sure that that knee's right over the ankle, and then beginning to slide that left hand down the left leg. Maybe reach those right fingertips up overhead. Good, and then drawing ourselves back through center. Let's bring the right hand or forearm to the thigh, lifting and reaching through that left side. And then we'll just find a little flow here. So on our inhales, we can reverse our warrior. And then on our exhales, that hand or forearm to the thigh, side angle. Inhaling, reaching with those right fingertips. Exhaling, reach with the left. Inhale, reaching right. Exhale, reaching left. Good. On our next inhale, let's draw ourselves back up through that warrior two. Begin to straighten in that left leg. Maybe heel toe that foot in just a little bit. Hips are going to head off to the left as we reach forward to that right leg, finding our triangle shape. Really thinking about stacking hip over hip, shoulder over shoulder. That hand can find the hip or we can reach the fingertips. And just allowing the gaze to be wherever is comfortable for your neck, down at the ground, to the side, or up towards the fingertips. Breathing here. Good. Begin to soften into that right leg back up through warrior two. We're going to pivot the feet parallel to each other in the short edge of the mat. Soften through the knees. Begin to hinge forward, swan dive, straddle fold. So fingertips can come right to the mat space, or feel free to use a prop to lift the floor up here. And we can keep straightness in the legs, or we can deepen and bend as much as we need. Breathing. As we inhale, let's find a nice flat back. Hands come to our hips and we'll sweep ourselves back up to standing. Then let's turn those left toes off. That right foot stays parallel to the short edge and beginning to sink into our lunge, opening ourselves up. Warrior two on our second side. Hands can always choose hips or heart space or that extended position. Breathing. Good. Just glancing to see that that knee is right over the ankle. And then let's start to find that little flow with the arms here. Almost like we're drawing on a bow. So that right arm comes forward and sweeps back. Good. So we can stay in this lunge position, or we can find a little flow in the legs here as well. Your choice. More. Sinking back in, finding that lunge position. We're going to find the right hand, the right leg. Sweep those left fingertips up overhead, reversing our warrior. And then bringing the left hand or forearm to the thigh. Reach those right fingertips. Side angle. Let's begin to find our flow here. So inhale. Reverse the warrior, exhale, side angle. Flowing with your breath. And on our inhales, we open through that left side body. And exhales, we open through the right side body. Let's find one more here. Back through center. Let's begin to straighten into that left leg. Optional if we want to heel toe that right foot in a little bit as we set up for our triangle. Hips are going to head off to the right. Reach with the left, finding the thigh or the shin. Opening here to the side. The option of extending those fingertips. Breathing. Gazing down towards that left foot, soften through the knee, back up through warrior two. Let's pivot those feet parallel to each other in the short edge of the mat. Soften the knees, hinge forward, straddle fold. Reminder, you can find as much softness through the knees as you need or desire, and feel free to use any props to support the body. Beginning to lift up, finding a nice flat back. Hands come to the hips, and then we'll sweep ourselves back up through standing. Heel toe those feet in, just a little wider than hip width. Toes turned out. Once again, let's just kind of roll through those hips. Breathing, maybe hand to heart, hand to belly, connecting in with that breath once again. Beginning to heel, toe those feet back in. Let's find our mountain shape. Rooted in, lifting up. And then just beginning to invite a little more alignment into the body, mind, and heart space as we work in our balance practice. So beginning to take all the weight into that right leg. Let's bring the left foot just in front of us. If you're working with props, feel free, if you have blocks or even your bolster, just to place that in front of you if you'd like to lift the floor. Or we can float that foot right up. Hands can stay at our hips, shoulders down and back, chest lifted. Breathe here. Our arms can stay down at the hips, or maybe we reach, finding some length. Good. Releasing the hands, release the foot, roll through the ankle, shake through the feet. Re-engage in that mountain shape. Weight goes into the left leg, right toe in front, rooted, utilizing a prop or lifting. Wherever we are, we're focused on just having that nice level pelvis and avoiding any rotation as well. So trying to be square. Maybe lifting those arms, breathing. Good, releasing here. Roll it out, shake it out. Reminder, anytime we're working through our balance practice, just to, again, accept where the body's at today. Our balance is impacted by so many factors, not only physically, but also if we've got a lot going on and we're distracted and unbalanced in our minds or in our environment around us, and that's gonna impact our balance. So if you're feeling a little bit more wobbly today, don't judge that. Feel free to always reach for a wall space or back of a chair. So we're gonna move into our tree here next. So weight into that right leg, open through that left hip. You can stay rooted here. Step that foot in closer, maybe floating that foot up the inside of that right leg. So again, our hips are square and level. Arms can stay reaching down, or always option to find that lift. See if you can almost embrace those little wibbles and wobbles. And also know that if you step out, then no big deal. Just step back in, take a breath. We're not looking for perfection here. We're just simply looking at energetically and physically bringing more alignment into our being in this moment. And release the hands, release the foot, shake it, roll it, whatever you need. If you want to rock through those hips a little again, feel free. Good. Tree on the other side, weight into the left leg, open right hip. Choose your option. See if you can mirror what you did on that first side. And maybe reach those arms if that feels good for you. Using that breath to steady us. Let's release those arms, release the feet, roll it, shake it. Maybe swinging through the upper body. So we want to take that balance and alignment with us, but we don't want to take any extra additional tension or anything heavy with us. So kind of just shake it out and invite just that alignment in. Then moving up towards the top edge of our mat, rolling those shoulders down and back. We'll find our mountain, find our breath. Inhale, we'll reach, lengthening all the way from soles of feet out through fingertips. Connect those palms. Let's draw that down through the center of the heart space. Inhale, we'll reach and lengthen. Exhale, drawing it down through our center. Good. This time we'll reach and lengthen. And as you draw it down through our center, we'll soften in the knees and begin to hinge forward at the hips. Eventually rounding through the spine, bringing the fingertips to the mat space or a prop. If it's comfortable for you, you can choose to stay here in your fold for a breath or two. And then when you're ready, just beginning to step back 1 foot at a time, finding that 4-point kneeling, walking those knees a little wider than hip width and then melting those hips back towards the heels. We'll find our child's pose. So head resting to mat space or maybe placing the prop under the chest. Always that option to stack hands or stack fists, lifting the floor up a little bit. Wherever you are, breathing. Drawing those hands and the shoulders, let's begin to press ourselves up through 4-point kneeling. And then walking those hands in front of us just a little bit, we'll find our plank. So planking from knees or from toes. And nice and controlled, we'll hug those elbows in, lowering down all the way to our bellies. If we arrive here, let's bring the elbows nice and wide, stacking the palms, resting the forehead to the back of the hands. Find your breath. We can bend the knees so the ankles are stacked over top of the knees, and then just gently wag the feet side to side here. Releasing any tension through the low back. And then releasing the tops of the feet back down to the mat. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders, drawing those shoulder blades down and back. Let's press into the tops of the feet. Press into the hands and begin to lift up. Cobra. Releasing on our exhale. Inhale, let's lift Cobra. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Good. This time as we inhale to lift, let's slide those elbows away from us, grounding down into the forearms, finding our Sphinx position. If there's any pinching or discomfort through your low back, then feel free to come down to that stacked palms position. Keeping those shoulders down and back, thinking about lifting through the chest, through the throat, feeling that expansion. Let's be here for 3 breaths. And lowering down. Pull those elbows wide, stack the palms, rest the forehead. Just allowing the heels to fall away from one another, or optional to find that little windshield wiper type motion with the legs again. Begin to guide the hands underneath the shoulders as we press ourselves up through 4-point kneeling, or tuck those toes, hips up and back. Find a down dog. We're going to be here 3 breaths, so also optional to move back into child's pose. Listen to your body. Slowly, let's release the knees, rolling the hips off to one side, coming through seated. We'll just invite soles of feet together, knees wide. sitting right onto our mat space, or we can reach for that prop if we want to lift the hips up a little bit here. And we can either grab for the ankles or the shins or even the knees, and thinking about lifting just slightly through the belly, expanding through that front body. Stay here, or we can reach those arms back behind us, just finding a little bit more opening through the heart space. Maybe even lift the chin, feeling that opening through the throat. Good. Gently relaxing here. Let's bring soles of feet to the mat space, a little wider than hip width. We can reach back behind us to the floor or a prop, and then just rock those knees side to side. Good. Let the knees fall all the way over to the left, arriving in our deer shape. Let's take 2 breaths. Good. Reaching back. We'll come back through center. Let the knees fall all the way to the right. Root in here. 2 breaths. And back through center. Begin to make our way all the way down to lying on our backs. Nice and controlled and supported. And we arrive here, let's just find a nice full body stretch. If it feels okay for the shoulders, reach those arms up overhead. Just allowing yourself to root into the mat space, into the floor, and beginning to take up space. Allowing ourselves to pause and to breathe and to settle in. And sliding those heels up the mat space, we can bring those arms back alongside the body. Just take a moment to tuck those shoulder blades down and back. And then let's bring the knees in towards the chest. We can find the front of the shins or back behind the knees. And find stillness here, maybe some gentle moving. Rocking side to side, or we can trace little circles on the back of the hips. Gently beginning to bring the knees out to the side of the body and press those feet up towards the ceiling. We can reach for the back of the knees, find the ankles or soles of feet as we find our happy baby shape. Keeping those shoulders down and back. And again, stillness here, some gentle, fun rocking sometimes feels good. And maybe let yourself smile. I feel like there's no one happier than a little baby laying on their back playing with their feet, right? So let's channel that little inner human inside all of us. Feel that joy. Good. Slowly bringing the left foot down to the mat space. We'll keep the right knee in towards the chest. And just find stillness or a little bit of gentle movement. And gently switching left knee to chest, right foot to mat space. Gently releasing both feet down to mat space. And bringing the arms out nice and wide like a T, palms facing up. We can slowly just rock those knees side to side. Using those exhales to release any tension that we uncover. And just really beginning to slow the body down, preparing for some stillness, for some silence. you're looking for a guided shavasana or meditation, then I encourage you to reach for one of our meditations if you got a little bit of time, maybe one of the nidra practices that are available there. Just a nice little nap. Otherwise, when you're ready, just begin to allow your body to settle into a nice, relaxed, supported position. Letting the legs be heavy, the arms, the spine, the head. Feel free to reach for any props or any other comforts, maybe throwing on socks or a blanket or a sweater. Just allowing yourself to feel completely comfortable, completely supported. As we begin to relax through the physical body, relaxing through the mind, softening and relaxing through our emotional body or our heart space. Giving yourself permission to simply be. Any distraction, just a reminder to come back to the breath. Being fully present. Relaxing totally and completely. Encourage you to stay in your shavasana as long as you need. And when you awakening slowly, mindfully, softly. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. And I look forward to practicing with you again very soon.